I have a statement to read, and it is from Dr. Carroll Van West. Basically, he's the historian up at MTSU. He came down here and looked at the park a couple of times. I regret that I cannot attend the August 11th meeting at Gethsemane Baptist Church, where prior out-of-state commitments keep me from attending and offering these comments in person. I do hope that these comments become part of the public record of the meeting. 15 months ago, property owners in the Lincoln Park neighborhood spoke to me about their neighborhood, the development challenges that they face, and the possibilities of preserving the historic neighborhood and its significant history. I agreed to begin a long-term exploration of all the post-Reconstruction African-American neighborhoods in Chattanooga as part of a multiple property nomination cover sheet for the National Register of Historic Places. State officials at the Tennessee Historical Commission and property owners in Lincoln Park both shared with me an earlier determination of eligibility for Lincoln Park, concluded that the neighborhood was not eligible for the National Register of Historical Places, and thus not historically significant under the definitions of the National Historic Preservation Act. Our research to date finds the preliminary determination based on incomplete research, and thus the assessment may be incorrect. We have been to Lincoln Park 3 times. We understand the historic grandstand is gone, elements of park buildings and landscaping are gone, and the New Deal era swimming pool has been altered into a warehouse. However, we also know that Lincoln Park as a place is very much alive. The fields where the famous athletes played is very much intact. Some historic landscaping elements survive, and the historic swimming pool building remains and could be restored to a new recreation use. A wide range of scholarships over the last generation has emphasized the significance of placemaking in African American history and culture. Lincoln Park is such a place, and the open land conveys that history and significance today, where Chattanooga blacks given a sliver of opportunity in the harsh Jim Crow times of the early 20s. Century built a place of recreation, sport, and identity. Recall that the park's dedication came just a decade after the lynching of Ed Johnson on the Walnut Street Bridge. There were tough years in Chattanooga, to say the least, and the promise of Lincoln Park said volumes of how Chattanoogans were trying to move forward as World War I still raged across Europe. The African American neighborhood that lies adjacent to the park today also shows the significance of African American placemaking in Jim Crow, Tennessee. Here you have a mixture of working class and middle class dwellings, small churches, and stores, all typical of what African Americans could build within the strictures of segregation. They had this neighborhood because it was not a great location, crammed between the all-white hospital complex and white middle-class neighborhood on one side, and the railroad tracks and machine shops on the other side. Yet they built a neighborhood that exists today, and many of the adorned homes are not architecturally distinctive. True, but they are what people living with inequality could build and nurture in those years. Our research today has indicated that the neighborhood has historical significance as a representative collection of dwellings and other community buildings. From 1880 to 1960, we are finding similar patterns in the nearby Archenard neighborhood, which developed around what became the National Battlefield Reservation almost as soon as the fighting ended. In late 1863, here emerged strong middle-class neighborhood compared to the more working-class Lincoln Park neighborhood, one which nurtured the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s, as it provided safe haven and overnight accommodation for civil rights activists and leaders in those years. Lincoln Park is historic and significant. Chattanooga is historic and significant. As our research progresses, we will undoubtedly learn more and gain deeper understanding to the significance of these places, not only to Chattanooga history, but the history of Tennessee. And they do have attachments, and I would like to enter this into this meeting today.